It is not easy to provoke Russia, and it is not easy to provoke condemnations from Russia on the level of official diplomacy. The recent statement from Russian Foreign Ministry concerning a frenzied anti-Russian campaign means that Russia sees a dangerous line has been crossed, at the very least in the realm of rhetoric. But this warmongering rhetoric from the U.S. isn't just about words. To start with, if the U.S. was only up to its usual campaign of doublespeak, hypocrisy, and exceptionalism, this would only be symptomatic of an arrogant world power, of course, seemingly bent on making sure that it is remembered by history as an aggressive and bellicose entity. But the change in rhetoric from the U.S. has turned a dangerous corner into something we should all be concerned about. They have entered into a new realm where we can clearly see they have violated every meaningful precedent in international law, from warmongering to hate speech, developed from the International Military Tribunal at Nuremberg onwards and enshrined in numerous proceedings at The Hague. When the New York Times publishes editorials from John McCain saying to bomb Iran or bomb Russia, when U.S. media gives an uncritical platform to retired U.S. General Robert Scales, maniacally saying that the U.S. needs to kill more Russians, when retired General Wesley Clark is freely allowed on U.S. airwaves or in print to criminally call for more armaments for the Ukraine army, violating the ceasefire that is backed by the UN Security Council, in light of reports from the UN and OSCE which indicate these are being used on civilian populations, it's very important that we pause and remember something. For almost a year now, the U.S. has waged an aggressive proxy war against Ukrainians and ethnic Russians in Ukraine, which the U.S. hopes will ultimately destabilize Russia and create a failed state in Ukraine in the process. These are crimes against humanity. Russophobia, like Islamophobia, have become the new anti-Semitism. The convictions at Nuremberg were not just those in the military command or policy, but also in media. You must remember Julius Streicher, like Joseph Goebbels. They only wrote words. They only provided a platform for hate and invective. American media bosses clearly believe they are on the winning side of history, arrogantly assuming they will never be made to account for their documented crimes. This hubris alone strikes a nerve in people around the world who wind up even more motivated and more dedicated to seeing the end of the U.S. empire. So with U.S. power now on the descent, we are fast approaching a time when various U.S. statesmen and media tycoons will have to face trials similar to Nuremberg under the watch of the international community. That will be an important time for truth and reconciliation. In light of all of this, we can view Russia's reaction to date as really quite mild, perhaps if anything too permissive. Still, it is clear Russia has played this responsibly. It cannot and should not do things unilaterally, in my view. Still, the time will come, sooner or later, that responsible multipolar powers of the world will have to come to an agreement on the prosecution of those in media and government in the U.S. who have clearly made crimes against peace and crimes against humanity. The U.S. may, as Obama has, claim that it is an exceptional power, that it has exceptional mission, which gives it the right to abrogate the very same treaties it cynically accuses others of not adhering to. But it is not an exceptional power, only an abuser of power. And every day we can see its increased bellicosity as evidence that it has lost its power to win friends and allies through peaceful means, through trade, through mutual trust, and so forth. It is not easy to provoke Russia. History tells us another thing. When Russia speaks clearly and with one voice, one thing is certain. It has a well-developed, concrete plan which it is already moving on. War criminals from the U.S. will, sooner rather than later, be made to face justice. That is my view.